Baldini. The Baldini, brother. Alright, man. I'm just getting myself accustomed to being on the camera. Becoming one with myself and becoming one with just being on the camera, you know. Always paying attention to the lens, paying attention to the attention that needs to be addressed, the body language, the tonality of how I'm speaking, and just the authenticity of how I'm conducting myself. I'm just gonna jump into it, man. You can literally be your worst enemy without even knowing, you know. I had this breakdown within myself. Since I'm not doing music too much in the gym, I'm not blasting music at the gym, I'm able to understand, I'm able to hear my thoughts a lot much more clearer and a lot much more louder. I was at the gym, you know, and I do content in the public scene, and you know, people can see me with the camera and walking around with the tripod and walking around looking sexy and big muscles and big daddy type of thing. And I realized I created a personality or a alter ego or a second person in my mind that likes to think that he can read other people's minds, you know. I am attempting, not even doing, I'm literally attempting, actually I am doing, I'm creating a reality in my mind that I'm able to see myself do the gym, do the content from a third person view, from the audience's view, or from somebody who's just in the gym working out. And as I am watching myself conduct myself in reality, the thoughts that accumulate my mind as I'm watching myself, I realize it's nothing positive. I'm attempting to act as if I am reading the people's minds that are around me, and what comes to my thoughts are, look at this guy, he thinks he's cool. Look at this guy, he's so egotistical. Look at this guy, he's so rah rah rah. He thinks he's all this, blah blah blah. And what I'm realizing, and within these thoughts accumulating and festering in my mind, it's starting to affect my soul. It is starting to affect the way that I'm conducting myself, because thoughts turn into feelings and feelings turn into action. And so these thoughts that are negative, they made me feel negative. They made me feel anxious. They made me feel small. They made me feel insecure. And I started to recognize, and this has always been going on. I've been doing content for a minute, but I've always battled with this, and I've just always overcame it, you know. Every day I tell myself, every time I set up the camera, I'm like, I'm never going to allow my emotions to affect the way that I conduct myself, because I am true. So I have these emotions, but I don't allow myself to feel it, but it's still like festering. So I wanted to bring more attention to it so I can take it out, you know, and replace it with something more positive. Like, you are that guy, you are confident, you do know what you're talking about, you know. So in order to change the way that you think, you must address it, understand where it came from. And where I believe where it came from was a seeking approval from others, you know, attempting to seek approval. I realized that I do like approval from others. I do like when people tell me like, you're doing a good job, or I'm proud of you. So in the absence of receiving recognition, I started to create an alter ego within myself that I can read other people's minds, and I'm attempting to read what they are thinking, and I only think negative about myself. And I'm having this whole dialogue, this whole battle between good and evil in my mind, and all while working out. And so that was a really deep, conscious decision that I made, to cut off the music and actually process this emotion. So I asked where it came from. So seeking recognition, you know, and replacing it with something positive. That's definitely what I want to do, you know. Telling myself, look, you can't read other people's minds, and you don't understand what other people are thinking about, nor do these people's opinions truly matter to you, and they should not hold weight of how you feel and how you conduct yourself, because you are the only one who feels the emotions that you feel. You are the one who creates the emotion that stimulates your creativeness, your extrovertness. I'm an extrovert, bro. I love talking to people. I love being out in the world and socializing, you know? So I'm never going to allow my inner demons, in a sense, to get the best of me and bring me to a lower state of being. We always stay intentional. We stay mindful, learn to disconnect from the phone and attempt to understand our minds, understand why we think the way we think, why we do the things that we do, because we have habits, you know, we have habits and we have belief systems in our mind that have an influence on the direction that we take. Understand, why did I take left instead of right? Why did I go right instead of left? And you start to realize that you are not really making decisions consciously. You are just living on autopilot based upon the habits that you have in your life. These emotions dictate and influence the way that you step, the way that you think. And so in order to change and become the greatest version of yourself, you have to understand why. Why? That's it. It's Friday. We got the hike tomorrow, man. I'm really excited. We're gonna get some good pictures, flick it up on the gram, and it's gonna be a good time. Happy Friday. Get this work every day, never stop, just get money.